Hello, this is Anna Amelia from North East Animal Rights coming to you today from Newcastle. We are going to be at Grace Monument from 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock today, so come along and talk to us. It'd be lovely to see you. Today we're talking about World Day for Animals in Labs. It's a national event, so there's lots of things going on around the world and obviously in this country, but you also have a couple of things going on in Newcastle as well. We used to have big marches and everything, but obviously with COVID we can't do that anymore, and protests outside of universities. We have another group who's the Animal Rights Group doing a protest outside of Newcastle University, and we have our information stall here today in Newcastle. So what is the issue with why are we doing this big event? Obviously we're anti-vivisection. Veganism isn't just about food, it's about all animal exploitation. So the definition of vivisection is the act of cutting into or dissecting a live body. Comes from the word vitae in Latin, French, viva in Italian. It's torturing, abusing, drugging, altering animals, all while alive and still fully conscious as well. There are a number of different types of vivisection. And for medical research, you have the universities and research labs doing this. We have, we know obviously that it's a sensitive issue. If you have, a loved one who is suffering at the moment with cancer or with a heart disease or diabetes or something like that, it is a very sensitive issue. We recognise that, but you have to ask yourself: is it appropriate or even beneficial to humankind to hurt another animal in that person's name? If I had having an illness, would I really trust something which has been tested on an animal which bears no physical resemblance to me? You have so many charities, like Cancer Research and British Heart Foundation persist in testing on animals which bear no physical resemblance to us. The only similarity we have is sentience. So we have the same capacity to feel pain and fear as do the animals, but that's where the resemblance ends. Animal Aid has a massive list of charities, good and bad. Those which do test on animals and those which don't. And you also have a great list by on Vivisection Exposed's website as well, on the page of charities who test on animals and those who don't. So you can put your money into charities which don't test. If you look at things like the salaries of the chief executives of these big organisations, they're absolutely massive. So when you're doing fundraising events, you're putting your heart and soul into these fundraising events. This is where a lot of the money is going. You would expect to see, with the amount of money which is going into research, massive leaps forward in success rates, but we don't. These charities are massive businesses. Some diseases have been cured. For example, they have cured cancers in mice, but they can't translate the results and successes into humans because they're so different, but we keep on testing. Mice are not humans, rats are not like humans, monkeys are not like humans, and they're supposed to be, the closest relative, but they're so different. Look at the disasters like thalidomide, where these, the testing process on animals went through successfully, but it had horrendous results for humans. And then look at things like penicillin, where penicillin is actually quite dangerous in animals, but it's very, very safe for us to use. Some charities are starting now to promote healthier diets. The plant-based diet is part of veganism because they know this is actually more successful at treating the causes rather than the symptoms. Some illnesses it's just totally random how you get them. You can be very, very healthy and still fall subject to one of these awful illnesses. But the chances are so much higher if you're having a meat and dairy based diet. Universities, they have obviously they have cohort of students going in year after year after year. They're still doing the same animal testing. They know what the results are, but they're still continuing to persist with these horrible tests for these students. I remember a couple of years ago watching something on Look North, which was just a ridiculous experiment, and it was kind of treated as a jovial, trivialized sort of little article on their program, where they were actually gluing sunglasses on a crickets to find out what their resistance to the light was in sunlight. You just think, what's the benefit of that? The animals are getting tested on, and getting disposed of at the end of it. There's absolutely no benefit to humankind whatsoever. Medical students, if you are wanting to be a medical student and you think that you're going to be forced into testing on animals, you have a legal right and law to refuse to do that. You can ask for a cruelty-free method of studying. Veganism is protected in law, not only in UK law but also EU law. But we have adopted the same law. We transferred that law over into our law, so we still have these ethical. We have the right to be an ethical vegan. So if you sign up as a medical student, they have to sign up and provide alternatives. Jordi Casamitiana had a big case a couple of years ago where he had that defined in law and accepted in law by a judge who said that ethical vegans should have alternatives and shouldn't have, and they should be treated and taken seriously. He worked for an animal organisation who invested his pension funds into animal testing organisations, which clearly is not something that vegans would do. There's also a woman called Fiji who recently won a case. She is a student who was taking part in she's on a course with animal husbandry and farming practices in it. It's an animal behaviour management course, and she told them categorically that she didn't want to do that. So she was told to find another course. And she thought that was wrong. It clearly is wrong because there should be alternatives. And the Vegan Society took her case on, as they did help with Jordi's case as well. And they successfully fought her case. And she is now being given alternative study practices so she can successfully complete her course. Now, you shouldn't be, the essential is you shouldn't be to be taught to change your career path because you have to accept animal testing. Nobody should be forced to change their ethics because of something like that. Now look at cosmetics and household products, and we've all been horrified at the pictures of like rabbits in the LD50 tests. Lethal dose 50% of animals killed before they when they have these things dripped into the eyes. That's why it's called LD50. And monkeys, usually macaques, restrained, that you can see these animals are terrified, they're screaming, and cats with implements on their heads as well, animals who we know very well in our own homes. Cosmetics have, there's no mandatory test now for cosmetics. Some of the companies still do, because in some of the companies they export to, it is expected to have animals tested for them. One of the countries, should I say, which caused a lot of problems for companies wanting to export to, is China, because obviously there's a massive market out there. So companies were bending over backward to do animal testing so they could get their products into China. But even there now, they are removing mandatory testing for general cosmetics. From next month, in May 2021, general cosmetics, things like lipsticks, mascaras, eyeshadows, foundations, they do not now have to have mandatory testing, which is a massive, massive step forward. And will save an awful lot of animal lives and reduce the amount of animal procedures as well. However, there's still things to be done there. Things like anti-aging creams, anything which has a specific claim to it, they still have to have mandatory testing. But again, it's still a massive step forward. They've also approved two non-animal testing processes as well. So it's looking far, far better in the future. Makeup isn't essential, so why do we let animals suffer? Toiletries in the main aren't essential either. So again, why do we let animals suffer? Find the cruelty-free alternatives. They're absolutely everywhere now, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get really cheap brands as well. Look for the Leaping Bunny logo. Look for the shop's own version of it. Check it's vegan rather than vegetarian, and check out a group called Cruelty Free Kitty. They will tell you all the things you can get which are cruelty free. And Vivisection has provided a cruelty free shopping guide as well. Okay, so they will list all the household products: Astonish, Bio-D, Co-op, Faith in Nature, M&S, Except Conditioners, and then also they've got the cosmetics on the back as well. So they will tell you all the companies here, and personal care as well. Okay, all the things there which you can use, which are all cruelty free. Another line, if you like, of animal testing is military, the warfare, because obviously we have soldiers who are going to war, and they get injured in the field, and we have to be able to sort of stitch them up and get them evacuated pretty quickly. And what they do is they test on pigs. Pigs is the animal which is closest skin in terms of similarity to humans, and they are shooting pigs and doing all sorts of horrendous things in the name of warfare. And animals don't cause wars, humans cause wars. So again, we are putting these animals at risk and subjecting them to horrendous processes because we want to make sure that humans can benefit in the end. A lot of people don't understand that the automobile industry as well, cars, the manufacturing industry, they also have animal testing in it as well. General Motors obviously produce Ford. Peter did a 25-year campaign against General Motors. Nearly 20,000 animals were killed, tortured, and killed over the years for crash test dummies. Usually pigs, because again of the skin resemblance, but nothing else. It's kind of like working out what would happen if a human crashed in a car, but they were crashing these cars at different speeds to find out the levels of damage done to the skins. And I've talked last week about the horse racing industry in Newmarket. They have this Animal Health Trust who are testing on animals, you know, on horses to try and make them bigger, better, stronger, faster, again, for human benefit. Now, the animals, I've got some information here from Newcastle University's own website here, okay? So Newcastle University, the last full year, 2019, they carried out 34,000 procedures, okay? I'll just let you have a little look at that. The animals used are mice, rats, macaques, which are monkeys, starlings, blue tits, coal tits, fish, zebrafish usually, domestic fowl and pigs. You know, so imagine somewhere in Newcastle, you know, these dark dungeons with all these beautiful animals in there, subjected, they never see daylight, they're literally just stuck in cages, they're side by side with other terrified animals, and you can imagine the stresses and things these animals are going through, okay? You know, 27,000 mice, you know, we've got 51 pigs, we've got 20 macaques, 20 monkeys, but also the other sensitive creatures as well, the smaller ones like the rats and the birds and everything as well. Pigs are used in agricultural research, birds are used in behavioural research, and fowl and mice are used in animal welfare as well. Now, there is a definition in terms of what universities have to publish on their websites, the threshold for pain, basically for regulation. So Newcastle University publish all of their procedures, and they're trying to be a little bit more open, but the reality is it just shows you the nature of, you know, like how many procedures actually take place. So this definition for regulation is, it's a procedure which causes an animal to experience a level of pain, suffering, distress, or lasting harm equivalent to or higher than that caused by inserting a hypodermic needle according to good veterinary practice. So if you imagine you're taking your companion who you love and you know who is a big part of your family, you're taking it to the vet, so it's getting stressed by being put in a carrier and being transported to the vet, and then when it gets there, it's getting, you know, examined, it maybe has a needle, or it's getting some other procedure, it's going in for an operation. Imagine how stressed the animal is. But then the animal comes home, it's looked after, gets TLC, and that's it, hopefully for a long, long time. But these animals in labs are getting subjected to these hypodermic needles, these incisions, these operations over and over again. Okay, they're not getting treated. They have no kindness, no love or anything at all with them. They're literally just getting, you know, they're just objects. Okay, now within, sorry, that's my rabbit in the background, having a bit, trying to get at another animal through the cage. So we have 19,922 animals procedures were actually within this limit. Okay, so there was 19,922 procedures subject, you know, like similar to a hypodermic needle level of pain or stress, but there was 14,000 above it. 14,000 procedures which caused severe stress, severe pain, severe fear for these poor animals. They also were obliged to list the types of sorry, I'm just losing track of my papers. They're also obliged to show you the amount of the type of research projects they're actually doing. I mentioned the cricket to sunglasses before, but some of these are just sort of, it just beggars belief in terms of what they're doing. They produce genetically altered mice. That is a project. They are actually genetically altering mice's DNA, and then they do gene expression control in these genetically altered mice as well. They are testing animals for bone marrow transplantation, human bone marrow transplantation, but they're testing this on animals. Animals don't have operations with bone marrow transplants, humans do. Cardiac disease in humans, but they're testing on zebrafish. Assessment of pain and welfare in pigs for the farming industry, okay, for agriculture, for animals who are going to essentially get killed and put on our tables. The model Parkinson's, the model liver disease, cancers, organ fibrosis. These are all human disorders. Yet again, they are doing this in they're doing this in animals. Again, no physical resemblance at all. The body structures are so different. They're treating neuropsychiatric disorders, so they are, you know, forcing animals to suffer these neuropsychiatric disorders, but it's actually humans who are going to benefit, you know. Now this is all available on the Newcastle website and all the universities who have animal testing. I'll read this out to you, but you can Google it very easily. It's www.ncl.ac.uk/research/research governance /animal use. But if you go onto Newcastle University's website and look for animal use, you should be able to find it there as well. So So you're a vegan now, and you're kind of like looking at the ethical lifestyle, and you don't want to have things which are tested on animals. So what do? We know by law in this country, medicines have to be tested on animals. So we obviously protest, we campaign against that and look for alternatives. But there are simple things you can do as well. Some of the medicines have lactic acid, which comes from milk, and some of the capsules are made from gelatin, which come from animal bones. So tell your doctor that you're a vegan and you object to this. They need to know. So let them know that you want alternatives, but also let them know why you're objecting. Visit health food shops like Holland and Barrett, and for Almond and Raisins in Newcastle. Ask for a more natural alternative. There is a very good alternative to aspirin in health food shops for starters. If you're going in for a hospital for an operation, tell them that you're vegan. Make sure that anything they're putting in you is not, if you have anything, any sort of like piece of equipment which is going to go and stay inside you, tell them that you want an animal-free product going inside of you, but also tell them so that they know in terms of any medication they're going to give you, and also the vegan food aspect as well. This is very important. Although we know that plant-based diets are far more healthy, hospitals still are very, very way behind. They're so far behind in terms of providing vegan food in hospitals. But support charities who don't test on animals. All of the main human illnesses, like cancers and diabetes and heart disease, that all have they have non-testing alternatives available as well. Support Flow for Life on Earth, Vivisection Exposed, Animal Aid, Cruelty Free International. Contact universities. If you're a student there and your student fees are going there, tell them that you disapprove of their animal testing methods and ask them to look at alternatives. If you're a taxpayer as well, still contact them, because they're publicly funded. Your taxes are going into funding animal testing. Sign petitions. There's lots of petitions around. Always look for ask them to look for alternatives to animal testing. Contact your MP and ask your MP to sign early day motions, ADMs, where there's animal issues coming up. I've took some of these facts today from Cruelty Free International, from Animal Aid, Vivisection Exposed, from the Newcastle University website, for Life on Earth as well. We have to think here that we are testing, it's 2021 now, and we are keeping tortured animals captive, to subject them to abhorrent, archaic, barbaric practices, which don't benefit the average person at all. They're just massively benefiting the money makers. All that money going in and not much progress being made. Okay, so please look for a cruelty-free lifestyle. Say no to vivisection. Ask for cruelty-free alternatives wherever you possibly can, and help animals who don't have a voice. Okay, so thank you again for listening. Really, really do appreciate it. Please, if you like this video, please share it. Please like it. Please follow us. Please come along and say hello to us in Newcastle. We always appreciate seeing people in person. It's absolutely great to see people and talk to them. So I'm going to sign off now. This is Anna Amelia from Northeast Animal Rights, saying thank you very much for listening, and goodbye for now.